Good Monday, everybody, and welcome to the What Culture Football News Show, the show by What Culture, which takes a new slant about football. You've been here before, of course. My name is Adam Cleary, joined by Andy H. Murray. Welcome to you this fine Monday after the first weekend of the Premier League season. Football's back, and we've got loads of news. Yeah, it's never actually went away. We've got loads and loads of news coming up for you today, including a rather sassy quote from a Mr. Jose Mourinho.
We have an update on a rather worrying situation with Ozil Kolasinac and Mesut Ozil.
Arsenal also trying to buy a player despite the transfer window being shut.
Some Tottenham man is scoring loads of goals and racing up the rankings.
For a change, but first, any fans of Liverpool FC out there, you had some good and bad news on Friday night. So you got your season off to a winning start with their deceptively comfortable looking 4-1 win against Norwich, but there was some sad news in that if you had Mane in your fantasy league team, he came on, scored 1 point, stopped someone coming off the bench for you, but also Alisson picked up an injury in the first half and had to leave the field. Now, Klopp's been relatively tight-lipped on the state of the injury. This obviously said the usual press conference stuff. We will assess, we will make a decision, but the reports coming out on Monday are that he could be set for a lengthy spell on the sidelines, anything from 6 to 8 weeks, which is not how you want to start your season. Now, it is a calf injury, which as we know are quite bad, but as it stands at the minute, he could miss games against Southampton, not the end of the world, Arsenal, Burnley, Newcastle, and Chelsea. Now, Liverpool were very lucky with injuries last season because their squad, while excellent with that starting 11, once you get beyond that, you've only really they've got a bit of an option at centre-back, but they don't really have any other options. Full-back, centre midfield's a bit of a concern. Shaqiri's there as well. Origi's obviously coming in and done well, but it's not what you would call a huge squad.
Bench.
Now, Adrian came off the bench to make his debut for the club a mere 4 days after signing on a free transfer, so it looks like he could be set for a lengthy spell in goal. If you're a Liverpool fan, are you overly worried?
At this stage in the season, it's hard to throw out the panic klaxon or anything like that, and at the end of the day, 6 weeks sounds like quite a worrying length of time, but he'll be back before they know it. I think Adrian as well is a pretty good Premier League calibre goalkeeper. He obviously hasn't played a lot of football over the past couple of years because Fabianski's come in at West Ham and just displaced him. But it could be a lot worse. They could have Brad Jones as that backup option.
Yes, they did.
Again.
You would say they did strengthen their options on the bench in terms of goalkeepers.
It's not Karius.
I'm sure Liverpool fans would be much happy seeing Adrian come in than Mignolet, Karius, or as you say, Brad Jones. The game itself, I know we saw, was a bit weird because Liverpool were 4-0 up at half time, and yet we were watching it in the pub and we were like, I don't know how Norwich aren't doing better
It's
here.
a bit weird that Kenny McLean just decided to let Liverpool go 4-0 up. Very strange decision there from the league's best playmaker. But Norwich showed a lot. Obviously, that first goal with Grant Hanley and Tim Krul proving why they no longer play for a decent, a higher level with that big mix-up there. But I don't know. Norwich looked okay. They had sparks. You worry about teams who play in that style in this league because it opens them up, and if you're playing Grant Hanley at centre back, you're going to have problems throughout the course of the season. But they showed a lot. They certainly showed them a Villa actually over the weekend. Villa looked nice against Tottenham as well, going 1-0 up. So I think they can stay up.
Norwich should be fine to stay up. But I enjoyed the commentary because Jamie Carragher had seen enough from Norwich inside 60 minutes to be convinced they would stay up, and then by half time, with it being 4-0, he was tipping them to a record low points tally. It's back to the Alisson thing. It's such an innocuous little slip, isn't it? He just falls over taking a goal kick and then just stays down. They're normally the worst ones as well. I know it's a football cliche that the more innocent the incident looks, the worse the injury tends to be, but wishing him a speedy recovery.
I don't wish him a speedy recovery. I want Liverpool to finish 15th or something.
Yeah, if he can come back after Newcastle, that would be absolutely swell. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, let's move on to a rather more troubling situation involving Ozil Kolasinac and Mesut Ozil. In continuation of the ongoing saga with these fellas, they missed yesterday's game at St James's Park, just over there. St James's Park.
See it.
Arsenal ran out victorious, but Kolasinac and Ozil were not involved. This is because, according to the Daily Mail, pinch of problematic Daily Mail stuff there, they are under 24 supervision by a group of security guards at their respective homes as a kind of continuation of the alleged gang stuff they've been involved with lately.
24-hour armed guard for 2 Premier League footballers.
This is absolutely mental, isn't it? So obviously everyone saw the situation. They attempted carjacking like a few weeks ago.
Yes, that was Kolasinac. Just obviously what happened was Ozil, being the player with the vision, obviously saw these 2 lads coming over with knives and thought, I'll lock myself in my nice car. And Kolasinac was like, oh, 2 lads with knives, is it? I'll kick them.
I'm really hard.
And just squared up to both of them. If you missed it, there was CCTV footage doing the rounds. It was the most bizarre story we'd seen all summer, I think.
I mean, Kolasinac is not a guy I would fight. So even if I had a gun, I'd probably still run, to be honest. He's got a bit of a menace about him. But there's a quote here from a North London gang of some sort saying they are going to take everything that they have from the players. And despite warnings from a rival Eastern European gang, apparently, allegedly, accordingly, that the footballers are supposed to be off limits. So Lord knows how in the hell this is going to pan out. We can only really hope for the players' safety at this point.
This is one of those ones where the actual nitty-gritty is yet to properly come out. And when it does, you assume it's going to have something to do with, a gang back home for Kolasinac and a gang over here, and somebody just annoyed somebody in... Sorry, how did the Daily Mail get a quote from a North London gang source?
The Daily Mail can magic quotes straight out of their hoop by the seams.
Yeah, this may be one of them, but still, they are. They definitely did miss the game, and Arsenal said it was for personal reasons. So you assume this has got something in it. The idea that they're under 24-hour armed guard, though, have a battalion of just like weekend reserve soldiers in Arsenal club tracksuits.
This one guy.
That's just
One picture in the Daily Mail article on this on the website is the most unflattering thing ever. It's like, here's one of the security guards hanging out, and it's just a big fat bald guy in a polo shirt with like a little cup of water.
Yeah.
It's like he's not stopping anyone.
He's staying refreshed though.
Yeah, he's hydrated.
Yeah. More on this as and when we get it, and no doubt we will get it, and no doubt there will be a lot more. Anyway, in other Arsenal news, and slightly more wholesome Arsenal news, they're going to be 2 players short for the foreseeable. They're going to have to bring more players in. Now, you may remember, of course, last week the transfer window slammed shut, never closes, never ceases to be open, it merely slams shut, and thus ends Premier League teams' abilities to get footballers in, but apparently not if you're Arsenal, because they're going to dip into the free agent market, and we know that Sami Khedira, yes, you remember him, the Bond villain looking guy from Real Madrid back in the day. He's been at Juventus, but he's not happy because they brought in Aaron Ramsey, and they've brought in I wrote the other guy's name down. Rabiot, they brought in Adrian Rabiot as well. They've brought them into his position is open to interpretation
as well. It's
at Juventus, yeah.
Position there.
Yeah, if those two both stay fit, you can't really see him getting too much of a look in. So he is putting himself around Europe. He's a free agent now. They can release him, I think, when his contract comes to an end. So he's looking to move on. Now, there was talk about going to Wolves earlier in the transfer window, which I thought was quite interesting. But Arsenal now appear to be the team that have come in for him. Now, I remember Sami Khedira was always the name people brought up when it was like, well, Arsenal have bought so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, but who do they need? And it was like, Sami Khedira. They need like a midfield general, someone who can run these games for them.
The Butcher, Sami Khedira's nickname. So,
is that the Butcher?
Yeah.
He looks nothing like a Butcher.
It's not bad. He hasn't got a cleaver either.
Has he got a penny?
It's kind of an interesting one because Sami Khedira, safe to say, a few years removed from his prime. So while Arsenal would effectively be, acquiring this glittering resume of a player who in his prime was one of the best defensive midfielders in the world, probably not quite that anymore. And you have to ask, is he that much better than the likes of Torreira and Guendouzi at this stage?
They've got 3. They've got 3 already, which is quite an odd one. Obviously, Arsenal did win the transfer window. They got David Luiz from Chelsea. They got Celtic's Kieran Tierney. Then they got Pepe. William Saliba,
Ceballos.
Gabriel Martinelli, Ceballos. It's just, they bought a lot of footballers. They bought a lot of footballers and spent a lot of money and hardly had any of them on the pitch against Newcastle yesterday. And I have to say, he looked a bit disjointed. It was a bad game.
Yeah.
It was a very messy, scrappy, rainy, bad game.
It was ugly.
You didn't see a whole lot from Arsenal to suggest that they're going to go on a bit of a tear. It's the first game of the season, missing loads of footballers. And, you've only got to do what you can against Steve Bruce's tricky mags. But it was Arsenal a weird one, given that Liverpool laid down a marker, Man City laid down a marker, Man United laid down a marker, Tottenham had a really, really good victory in the end when they managed to get 3 goals against Villa. Arsenal laboured to quite a flat defeat. So I don't know if Sami Khedira is going to be the man to sort that out. Maybe just bring all the players they've actually bought in. That might be a start. But yeah,
probably a better bet.
We'll watch this one with interest.
Yeah, and we saw them start players like Joe Willock and Reece Nelson as well. Not quite what we expected, but we'll move on. We'll talk about their London rivals. We'll talk about Tottenham Hotspur and Harry Kane, Britain's most boring man. Oh my God, I never want to see that Razor commercial ever again.
Different.
But he had himself, if that makes me different, he had quite a weekend. He scored the 2 goals that were responsible, obviously, for Tottenham beating Aston Villa. And in doing so, he moved up to number 13th on the all-time Premier League.
He's creeping up it. He's creeping.
He's creeping and peeping. Basically, he's done this at 26 years old in just 179 games. It's one hell of an achievement. Hell of an achievement. He shares that position at number 13th with Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. The list of players who are above him includes Robin Van Persie, Les Ferdinand, Michael Owen, Jermaine Defoe, Aguero, Henry, Lampard, Cole, Rooney, and of course at number 1 with 260 goals, Alan Shearer. Now, as a Newcastle-based company, we should probably point out that Harry Kane, despite how wonderful this achievement and how well he's doing so far, he's still got, more than halfway to go.
Not even halfway. Bear in mind, I always point this out, Shearer had 2 entire seasons out injured and played 2 entire seasons before the Premier League even started. So if he hadn't got those, Shearer would have comfortably broken 300. If anyone's ever going to break that record, it's Harry Kane, because he started young enough. He is English, so he's unlikely to be moving abroad anytime soon, whereas you compare to like an Aguero type figure or some of the other names on that list. I don't think he will, but I said that like 4 seasons ago when he was only on like 40 or 50, and here he is now coming into the getting close to the top 10. It's undeniable now, isn't it? He is one of the Premier League's all-time elite strikers.
100%.
Undeniable now.
Not just in terms of goal scoring as well, the way he's evolved his game in the past few years, dropping really deep to collect the ball, recycle possession, then get back forward, pulling players all over the place, defensive midfielders having little hairy fits because they don't know where this big...
Oh, he's not my man!
Yeah, he's a savant, isn't he? Because he's a complete moron. When you watch him on these adverts and in interviews, he's just like... But he's one of the best footballers of his generation.
Comfortably,
yeah.
Will that be enough, Harry Kane's amazing ability to score goals? Will that be enough, do you think, to mount a title challenge for Tottenham?
I don't know, man. I think they needed a stronger option at right back than Kyle Walker-Peters. I think they maybe needed to strengthen I like Ndombele, and I think Lo Celso's a very good player, but they also have to keep hold of the man who is constantly likened on Twitter by your boyfriend to yourself. Of course, they need to keep hold of Christian Eriksen.
There's some lad playing for Norwich. I was getting it all the way through the Norwich game. That light just come back on. The whole way through the Norwich game. Some centre midfield. Can't remember his name now. I meant to write it down. I can see even less than I can see the Eriksen thing.
Do you reckon at some point we can get the double whammy? Someone will make a Christian Eriksen joke about you and someone will make a tennis joke about me in the same comment. Obviously, don't manufacture that.
Don't do that now. It has to be natural, but watch out for it if it does happen. Anyway, one man who does think that Tottenham could be mounting a reasonable title challenge is a Mr. Jose Mourinho. He was in the box for Sky Sports during their coverage of the Sunday game. Really enjoyed that, by the way, if you're watching Sky Sports. The entire hour leading up to the Newcastle-Arsenal game was about whether or not Man United had spent enough money. Absolutely excellent. Not like they were on TV an hour later and you could have talked about them then. Anyway, I digress. Mourinho has picked 4 teams that he thinks could be in with a shout of challenging for the Premier League this season. Would you like to hear what those 4 teams are?
Yeah, go on.
Manchester City. As you might expect, Liverpool, as you might expect. Spurs, he's got Spurs. Spurs can mount a title challenge. And who do you think the 4th team is?
Is this before Chelsea kicked the football?
This is before Chelsea kicked the football.
Chelsea.
It was not Chelsea.
Man United.
Was not Man United.
Wolves.
Was not Wolves.
Arsenal.
Manchester City's B team. Which, right, and some genius on Reddit has actually done their B team. If you basically look at the players who didn't play at the weekend, but obviously mentally subbing out Aguero for Jesus because he's probably the starter there. Man City's B team: Claudio Bravo, Cancelo, Mangala and Otamendi, regular Mendy, Fernandinho, Gundogan, Foden, Sane, Jesus, Mahrez.
It's not bad, is it?
Legitimately,
it's not bad.
That team could win the league, I think.
Not with Claudio Bravo, but maybe.
It's not far off, is it?
It's one hell of a team.
It's not far off.
You compare that, for example, to like the Liverpool bench or the Liverpool's next 11.
Adrian, let's try and do it. Adrian, who's their right back? Some kid.
Joe Gomez.
Let's put Joe Gomez. Well, he's probably the starting centre back. Yeah. So Matip, Lovren. Moreno left, didn't he? So Milner at left back.
Yeah.
Oh, you're struggling centre midfield. So let's say if it's Henderson, Wijnaldum, and Fabinho are their starting 3. So you've got Keita, Lallana. We could have done with Ewan for this. Would they play Shaqiri there? They might play Shaqiri there. They might play him.
Youth player.
And then up front, Origi, Shaqiri,
And
Ings. No, he's going down with
Brewster.
They're struggling. You see, see what I mean before by saying the lack of depth for Liverpool. It's not that they've got bad players on the bench. It's just when you look at like the team that won the league, they can bring in Gundogan and Fernandinho and Mendy and Sane and Jesus Samares. It's just
Yeah. Yep.
Given that they outscored them, right? So the goal difference is already better. Have Man City already won the league?
No. Too early to make sensationalist claims like that, but we will because that's.
But we will.
Do.
That might be the headline of the video.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I'll justify the headline and say, yeah, Man City have already won the league.
I can't see when you bring in the injury and the depth thing, like they can afford an injury here and there and probably absorb it. I don't see where they're going to drop any points from.
It's very difficult. The only thing I can see is, like, I as you can probably tell, I'm no rater of Claudio Bravo. I think an injury to Ederson would be very, very problematic. But elsewhere on the pitch, I mean, it's ridiculous. The wealth of resources is just absurd.
Well, that was good. We'll treat that as the end finally because it was a bit of fun. Would you like this week's Twitter this day's Twitter question?
Go on.
This question comes from Dylan Williams to Mr. and Mrs. Williams' son. Dylan. Best hidden gem signed for a non-top 6 side this season?
It's Craig Bryson at Aberdeen, but the gimmick answer for this is probably Emil Kraft at Newcastle. I think is a very interesting signing. Was it 5 million or something, which is nothing in today's money. Right back, who obviously I am not a Bologna or Cagliari season to get hold of wherever the hell he came from. But Newcastle have needed a new right back for a while. Like DeAndre Yedlin is a very likeable guy, very enthusiastic, extremely fast. Footballer, but not
excellent dog.
Excellent, great dog.
Great dog on Instagram.
Great Instagram account as well in general, but a pretty ineffective player sometimes, not the best defensively, a bit rash as well, sometimes gives away a lot of fouls, lots of bookings. I think they do need an upgrade. Obviously Kraft started on the bench at the weekend, and I think it'll make a big difference. It'll add more balance, it'll add more width. He's a more adept defender than Yedlin, probably isn't as fast, but you know, Usain Bolt isn't as fast as DeAndre Yedlin, so I think that'll be a sneaky little upgrade that will have flown under a lot of people's radars because it was only chump change in today's market.
Well, I'll tell you what, if that's proved to be correct, that's an incredibly insightful point. I'm going to say Tielemans, which is hardly a hidden gem given that he costs 40 million, but he's kind of flown under the radar a bit. I think if you look at the big names that have come into the Premier League, his name is not getting mentioned because it was very early on in the transfer window and 40 million already seems... I mean, they paid Alex Iwobi money for Tielemans, and I think he is going to score or at least help to produce 1 million goals. That's my prediction. That's my prediction. You're Kraft. Tielemans.
Yeah, let's go for it.
The two genders. Anyway, that has been the What Culture Football news for you today. It's been all over the place. It's been very, very good. And we will, of course, see you back here for something tomorrow. We never really know what until we do it. But you can get us all at What Culture FC. Why not submit your own Twitter question? We may even read it out. And, of course, you can get Andy at...
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for hibernation.
Oh, that's quite cute. And you can get me at Adam Cleary, and of course we all are at What Culture FC. But in the meantime, yes, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We have been What Culture Football, and we'll see you